So now if we come back to looking at, as already mentioned, civil dialogue has been prioritized, or has made a priority as part of the national strategy since 2007. It's become a key reform priority and has become a benchmark in the political priorities. So based on our findings, what we also look at in our policy paper, what we try to do is to see then, based on what is the situation on the ground and what are the challenges, to look at how the Commission is being engaged through the benchmarks and also through the funding assistance and together. So if we look at the policy of this, we have from 2007 civil dialogue as a benchmark, part of political criteria which our countries need to, the governments need to become part of the EU. If we look at the documents again, the objective stated in the document is that civil dialogue supports better communication of the enlargement process, mutual understanding between EU member states and candidate societies, but also it's important because it strengthens the role of civil society, democratization, and reconciliation process. So in a sense, it's a bit of kind of two-layer objective, since there was actually no clear definition of what in the enlargement strategies in 2007 and till today, what the Commission actually intends as dialogue. Here we see in the objective that basically we have kind of two dimensions. The enlargement fatigue, if I can call it, moment, so that the civil dialogue would support better communication between the candidate countries and the EU member states. And also linked to supporting EU enlargement in the member states and in the candidate countries, but also more importantly for us is that civil dialogue has been recognized by the Commission as a real way to support democratization and reconciliation process in our countries. More concretely, when we look to the benchmarks and progress report assessments for the countries and the regions, you can discern, since, as again, there is no civil dialogue definition, that basically what the Commission is trying to understand in civil dialogue is the existence of mechanisms for dialogue between the civil society and public authorities that focus on the government, but also, interestingly, they look at usually at the information and financing transparency in terms of support, state support, and state engagement in civil society. Since the enlargement strategy also talks about civil society development then can be kind of defined, or was defined by the Commission, as looking at the environment in which civil society organizations operate in the countries, the capacities of civil society organization, and in some specific cases also to the networking capacities for the situations such as in Albania. From 2007 we had civil dialogue as a regional priority, and then through the years, this has become an individual benchmark for specific countries. So it has been kind of from becoming a regional priority, also individual benchmark for the individual countries. We have had civil dialogue, what we call civil dialogue benchmark in Serbia before 2007. Then in Kosovo and Macedonia, specific benchmarks for civil dialogue mechanisms were introduced in 2007 for Kosovo and Macedonia, and lastly in Albania and Turkey. For the other countries we mentioned, Croatia, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, till now we don't have an explicit benchmarks. We have some assessments, but not benchmarks per se. If we look at the situation that basically Tina described, what our analysis show, we can say that in coincide with the timing of the developments that we just heard and the enlargement strategy, one could say that there was some positive, there had to be some positive effect of this enlargement policy and prioritization on the later development in civil dialogue. However, what we think, and I think our research shows that there is still, and what we hope will happen in the future, more strategic and coherent benchmarking across countries on the part of the European Commission, in the sense that it will support local effort and ongoing developments in this area. If we look at generally at the assessment, you will see in our policy paper what we tried to do was a table with the benchmarks, but also complete assessment for countries in years. But if we look at that and analyze it, basically what we found that the assessments themselves before the prioritization in Tier 7 and afterward, they were not really, let's say, longer. The language used was not that tougher, although in some countries we have seen quite some significant progress, especially in the last year. The developments that's in Serbia, we had interesting developments. In Croatia with the code for consultation. We also had developments in Montenegro with the establishment of the council, in Albania with the charter, etc., etc. In the latest enlargement strategy from October last year, one of the main kind of focuses outlined were that the enlargement countries need to focus on two things, which we think are very kind of linked to civil dialogue. For the first was that the strategy outlined that new legislation, so any legislation that needs to be adopted, needs to be consulted and properly implemented. And secondly, as you all know, that the Commission now is not just looking at the legislation and adoption of legislation, but actually how this is being implemented, and it is implemented effectively, and it's bringing concrete changes, especially in key areas such as the rule of law, anti-corruption, etc. Again, here, what we feel that civil dialogue hasn't been explored enough as a horizontal policy measure that is not just linked to how to develop civil society to have a better performing democratic institution, but a more broader understanding of civil dialogue as a horizontal policy measure which through specifically improving specific bylaws on minimum standards of consultation, access to public information acts and their implementation that could improve actually the implementation and fulfillment of these critical areas that have been identified in the latest enlargement strategy. Now, coming from the policy, looking again to the funding. The Commission is not a newcomer, is a newcomer in this area, but is not the only player funding civil dialogue activities, especially the civil dialogue activities after civil society organization. We have here in our policy paper, we will have a table of selected projects that we were able to fund, that are funded on the ground on this issue. So USAID is funding, OSCE, and some other smaller funds. If we look at the Commission funding roughly, and we have some colleagues from working on this, so maybe they can correct me if I didn't state, if we were not able to identify all of the projects on a regional level. There was a specific grant scheme from 2006 program, which was launched in 2008, focusing specifically on supporting activities on civil dialogue in minority related issues. And also currently the IPA Taxo project, the technical assistance to civil society, in some part, but not